ଆମେ last classରେ discuss କରିଥିଲେ coordination and communication. We'll continue from there. Coordination, we thought of discussing detail in coordination and communication. Today we'll discuss more on communication and coordination. We understand the meaning of coordination and communication. As the name says, you understood the meaning, what it means, the coordination and communication. In an organization, in any organization, in any industry, there are different departments, different sections, different managers, different work. So in between them, there are coordination. For example, if you are producing something, you need to coordinate with the raw material, with the sales, with the marketing. If you are purchase department, if you are purchasing something, you need to coordinate with other department what to purchase, what to purchase. So that is coordination. Similarly, we understood communication. What is meant by communication? Any action, anything you are communicating between one person to other person. It may be word, it may be written, or it may be your body language, verbal, non-verbal. There are so many medium of communication we understood. Communication is the act of giving, receiving, and sharing information. In other words, taking or writing, listening, reading. Good communicator listen carefully, speaks or write clearly, and respect different opinion. So that means this is the action of giving and receiving. Whatever you are giving, whatever you are receiving. So when you are saying something, I'm teaching you, I'm communicating you are responding, that means you are communicating. Even if you don't respond, there is some sort of communication. Maybe I'm teaching and you are listening. Verbal communication, non-verbal communication. Written communication, listening communication, visual communication. There are different types of communication we discuss up to here. Verbal communication is when you are saying something in words. Verbal communication occurs when we engage in speaking others. That means when you are saying something, you are commanding something, you are telling something, that is verbal communication. Non-verbal communication, most of the times you understood from the person without even saying. If you look at the person, you can understand what is the mood, what is the feeling. If a person is very happy or sorrow or sad, you can understand something by seeing that person. That is non-verbal communication. What you don't while we speak often says more than the actual words. Anek pila thanti chupchap thanti. You cannot listen anything, but you understood what they are trying to say. That is non-verbal communication. That means most of the times you are not supposed to say, you are not saying something, but you are expressing something through your expression, through your body language, through your facial appearance. So that is non-verbal communication. Written communication, if you are writing something through letter, through report, through email, that is written communication. Listening communication, if you are listening something how effectively you are listening. So we'll study all these things in the next slide. These are different types of communication. Visual communication, in most of the times, some pictures are presented. By seeing the picture, you can see what exactly means. Suppose you are going on the road, the traffic symbols are given pictorially. So that is visual communication. By seeing the visuals, you can understand something in your phone, in your computer. Most of the symbols you can self-explanatory. You can understand by looking at the symbol, looking at the picture. That is visual communication. Let's go to the new slide, communication skills. So how you practice this and what are the different skills, different types of skills. Once you understand this, so you can, there are 10 types of skills and there are different types of communication. The first one is listening. When you are listening, how good you are listening. So there are different types of listening. So whether you are listening for the sake of listening, you are just sitting or getting the summary of that, what the lecture. Suppose you are listening a lecture, a speech, 1 hour you are sitting. During that 1 hour, what the speaker is speaking, you are listening, you are making a notes of it or not, or you are just sitting, just ignoring whatever is, that person is saying. So there are different types of listener. So one is active listening. Active listening is enabling to focus that the person you are talking is actually communicating. That means you are actually listening what the person is saying, giving constructive feedback. If feedback can be tricky, in feedback we have a detailed slide. We'll understand that today or next class. But when you are giving feedback, the communication is complete. Suppose you are listening something and you are asking the question from that. That means you are properly listening, you are making notes, you are digesting, you are understanding. So giving a feedback. If you don't give feedback, then the communicator, the speaker will understand. Okay, you are just listening. Presentation, visual communication. This is something I was telling the in the form of picture, in the form of presentation. Visual communication, another essential communication skills. Example, include your next employees training. Suppose in some training, you have seen different presentation, different slides, and in one picture, you can understand a concept. You can understand the meaning of the whole thing. So visual appearance, the pictorial form of that concept is one type of communication. Non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is something I was telling when the person is not saying something but expressing lot of things. Through the expression, through the body language, you can understand the mood of the person, what the person is actually wants to say. So even if the person is not saying, you can understand. The written communication is through writing, through email, through report, through letter. In the digital age, most corporate communication go through written communication. This can be form of email, social media, or message app. Suppose you are writing something in Facebook, in Twitter, you are tweeting. Big leader like prime minister or any big leader, they are giving their opinion in the Twitter. and they are communicating to the entire world, entire nation. They are not calling one by one and telling, and they are not writing letter. They are just giving a statement in the social media. So everyone is understanding what they say. So that is social media communication and written communication. Oral communication. Whenever you are speaking something, you are telling something, oral communication plays a big role in the trust and relationship between people and community. So why it's playing a role on trust and relations? When you're speaking something, when you're telling something, there is a relationship, there is a bonding happens between the communicator. Suppose you are saying something, that means I will reply, then I know you, you know me, then we both are talking each other. So that type of trust, that type of bonding will not happen in any different type of communication. So oral communication is playing a big role in that way. So it creates the trust and relation. Voice modulation. Voice modulation means ମାନେ ତମେ ଯେଉଁ ସ୍ୱର କରୁଛ, ତମେ ଯେଉଁ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରୁଛ, you are changing the voice based on the mood, based on the context, based on the discussion. Suppose ତମେ ଗୋଟେ ଦୁଃଖ କାହାଣୀ କହୁଛ, you will tell in a different voice. ତମେ ଗୋଟେ ଖୁସି ଖବର କହୁଛ, you will tell in a different voice. ତମେ ବହୁତ ହସିଛ, you will tell that in a different voice. So that modulation will impact the communication. So you have to change the voice, you have to adjust the pitch, you have to tune the volume based on your context, based on your talk, what you are going to tell. So that is voice modulation. Voice modulation is adjusting the pitch or tone of your voice to help your listener to clarify, hear and understand your presentation or speech. That means when you are saying something, you are adjusting the voice so that other person, whoever is listening, from your voice modulation can understand a lot of things. That is a communication skill. Most of the people they cannot do it. So what all these things we are studying, these are different skill, different quality of communication communicator one should practice. And if everyone has this, then he will be considered as a great communicator. ଯେକୌଣସି ଲୋକ ତମେ ଦେଖ ଭଲ ଭଲ କମ୍ୟୁନିକେଟର ଲାଲୁ ପ୍ରସାଦ ଯାଦବ is a good communicator in politics. Even Narendra Modi, your prime minister. So when they are communicating to the entire nation, they know if you have seen a big leader, if they go to a different state, they wear the costume of that state so that people will feel connected. Suppose I am a great leader of India. I will go to North India. So I will wearing a North Indian attire, North Indian costume. If I go to South India, I will wear a South Indian costume. So that people will feel that this person is belonging from our location. So that is a skill. And they talk, if you see all the skill, they practice it. Rapport development. There is one point in the 8, it's written rapport development. Rapport development means what? When you are talking to a person, when you are working in a society, you develop some relationship with certain people so that you talk to them frequently, you talk to them and you communicate through them. So you try to build a good relationship with the people with whom you are working. For example, you have a team of 10 members. You know that whatever you are working, you have to work with those 10 people. So your performance is dependent on that performance of that 10 people. So what you will do, you will have a good relationship with those 10 people. You will develop rapport with those 10 people. That is rapport development. Not everyone can do that. So in order to have the good relations with those people, so you have to maybe doing something. You are talking to them frequently. You are calling them frequently so that they will understand. You are asking them their personal things so that they will feel that you take care of them. That is rapport development. Rapport development is a communication skill example that focus listeners to clearly hear and understand your presentation or speech. So if you do all these things, then those group will feel that you are the people or person who is taking care of them. So you develop a good rapport with them. Storytelling. Some people you have seen, they have good skill in explaining or communicating. Suppose they want to explain a thought, explain a situation. So, in the form of a story, they will start with a story. And once they finish the story with the stipulated time, then they will conclude what is the purpose of telling the story and why did they say the story. Then they will summarize and they will tell the significance of the story. Why did they? That is storytelling skills. So not everyone has that skill. Suppose you have to explain one thought, one example. So you have to start with a story. You have good story. So you think that if you tell the story that everyone can understand that concept. So you should have storytelling skills. So within that time, how you can summarize the story, how you can tell, how big the story, how much time you can take. So you have to tell all these things. And at the end of the story, you have to summarize and you have to tell the significance of the story. Why did you tell that? So all this that is a skill storytelling. So some big organization that is a job profile. Storytelling is a big thing. Negotiation. This is another skill. Most of the time, you have to negotiate with different people. So, if you have that skill, that is a good thing to add values to your communication. Suppose there are two parties and they are fighting for something, or you are talking with a supplier and you need to negotiate the price of supply, price of the raw material, what that person is giving to you. So you need to negotiate that price. So that skill is required and you are negotiating between. two parties as part of your communication. So these are the skills one has to practice and one has to implement in the day-to-day communication when you are practicing the communication in the organization. So listening, oral communication, written, verbal and non-verbal, rapport development, voice modulation, storytelling, negotiation, all these things are different skills, different types of communication. One has to actually practice in the regular communication. There are different elements of communication. The main element is in the communication is someone is communicating, someone is sending the message, and the message itself is one element. What you are sending, it may be a text or words or a message. What is that you are sending? So one is sending, one is the message, one is receiving. These are the three components. Other than that, how you are sending, when you are sending, so there are so many components: sender, message, encoding, media, the manner which recorded messages are transmitted, how the message is going, decoding, receiver, feedback, and noise. So there are certain things I'll tell the meaning. Encoding, decoding means most of the times the message what you are sending are not going in that form. For security reason, there are different algorithms. Suppose you are sending 1, 2, 3. So I should get 1, 2, 3. So what you are sending, it's going in a digital form through internet. So I should get 1, 2, 3. If in between someone is stealing that 1, 2, 3, so your communication, your data is lost. So in order to avoid that, we have encoding and decoding. So that 1, 2, 3 is turned to a different number, different random number, or anything, any text through passing through the way. Then when it will come to me, it will revert back and again turn as 1, 2, 3. So that mechanism is encoding and decoding. So encoding means what you are sending is coded in a different form, and decoding means once it come to the receiver, to me, so the same thing is going back to the original form. So that is encoding and decoding. Noise is what? Anything you don't want is a noise. Suppose I am going and talking to you for hours together. You don't want. Those discussions are not useful for you. But that means I am creating noise for you. And when you are listening something, some other thing are struggling you. Something created noise for you. Some disturbance is happening outside. That is a noise. So anything which a receiver don't want is a noise. It may be words or sounds or anything, and verbal or non-verbal, that is also communication component. So these are the different component, these are the different element of communication. Feedback is something you know. When you are saying something, the other person who is listening should give the feedback. Then you will understand your communication is complete. Whatever you are sending, it's received by other person. So in that way, this is another element of communication. Senders, messengers, encoding, media, decoding, receiver, feedback, noise. These are the different elements of communication. If you see a diagram and there is a order, there is a mm, circle given. So first thing is sender, who is sending the communication. Then it is going to encoding. So it's turning into a different language, different text. Then it is going through message. Channel is how it is going through manual, through internet, through social media, through television, through radio. So that is a channel, how the communication is happening. Receiver means whoever receiving, whoever the target audience of that conversation. And noise is happening in all these things from the sender to receiver. So when the communication is going and passing through, then the noise is happening. Then when the receiver is receiving, it is decoded. The feedback is going from the receiver to sender. So again, it is a circle. So if you look at this diagram, it is a circle from sender to receiver. So you remember the different types of communication, different skills and component of communication. And if the question comes, mostly those things is communication skills and communication component. You can elaborate this. Then we'll discuss in the next class the feedback. Feedback is something which is very important in organization, in communication mechanism, in personal development. In most of the times, feedback is important. So how one is accepting the feedback, positive or negative, so we'll understand in next class. Today we'll not discuss further. We'll close the class here. Thank you.